So let's talk about primates, more specifically the ecology of primates. The ecology of primates is simply the study of the relationship between primates and their environment. The environment can include the physical aspects like weather or the physical aspects like nature, as well as the other animals in the environment. When it comes to the study of primate ecology, there are two factors that primate ecologists focus on, and they are food and predators. The first factor is food. There are three things that ecologists study when it comes to food. These are quantity, quality, and distribution of food in one's environment. This type of study is performed because in an environment like theirs, food equals offspring. Studies have been shown that individuals who acquire more high-quality food are more likely to have more success raising offspring. When it comes to the other factor, predators, primatologists examine the potential distribution of possible predators in their ecosystems. This is important because those who can avoid predation is also more likely to have success with offspring. Now let's take it back a little and talk more about food. Who doesn't love talking about food? Most primates are herbivores, which means they eat plant foods. However, some primates are also omnivores, which means they eat plants and animals. Although primates aren't only limited to these two. Some primates are folivores, which means they are herbivores but specialize in eating only leaves. Some are frugivores, which means they are fruit eaters. And some are insectivores, which means they eat insects. Moving on. When it comes to how much time is spent doing certain activities, such as feeding, it is called their activity budget. A primate's activity budget can be broken down into different major categories such as foraging and feeding, resting and sleeping, locomotion and traveling, and social behavior. Some may ask, well, why do we care how a primate spends their time? Well, by examining a primate's activity budget, primatologists can get an idea of how the primate makes a living. What I mean by this is, they can see what certain primates maximize or minimize the time they have in certain activities within their environmental perimeters. To go hand in hand, the primatologists also study when the primates do certain activities. There are 4 different adjectives that categorize these timings. Most primates are diurnal, which means they are active during the day, like humans. Some primates are nocturnal, which means they are active during the night, like owls. Some are crepuscular, which means they are active during dawn and dusk, for example, the ring-tailed lemur. And lastly, some are cathermal, which means they are active during irregular periods during day and night, for example, black lemurs. One main factor that can affect this is feeding competition. This simply means competing with others for food. When it comes to feeding competition, there's 2 groups the primates compete with and 2 types of competition. The 2 types of groups they compete with include the within-group competition, which is the other primates in its own social group, and the between-group competition, which is the primates of the same species in other groups. The 2 types of competition that can occur within these groups are scramble competition and contest competition. Depending on the quality and quantity of food available in the environment, either of these can occur. Scramble competition occurs when there is a lot of low-quality food, more commonly seen within primates who eat leaves because trees tend to have large amounts of them. This type of competition is indirect because it's simply whoever finds food and eats it first. The second type of competition, contest competition, is direct because it's when the primates get more food than the other through fighting. This type of competition occurs when there is small amounts of low-quality food, and it is more common with fruit-eating primates. To end this discussion of a primate's ecology, I'll talk a little on the spatial use of the primates. The amount of space used by a primate is called their home range. More specifically, the area that is used most often is called the core area. The amount of space a primate needs in their home range is determined by the amount of resources they need to survive. Their range has to be able to contain all the resources such as food, water, and sleeping sites. Since some home ranges can often overlap, if the home range is physically defended, it's called a territory. And that's all I have. I hope this video helped you understand more about the ecology of primates. Thanks for listening.